Senator Abubakar Yusuf, a former federal lawmaker, is live for us here in the studio. Let me get your view on these looted funds. I mean, how crazy does it sound to you that this amount of money is being stolen by those who are giving the burden and the trust to administer governance in our country?
Well, thank you very much. First of all, let me commend Mr. President and also the Attorney General going so far. However, right from 2003, when EFCC Act was made, a lot of us have spoken about it. Go for protection. Go for prevention. Give priority to prevention.
So that people cannot have the capacity.
So that people cannot have the capacity to loot money. But somehow, it wasn't understood that way by the people who operated the EFCC. They went for prosecution and recovery. That is why up till now, nothing much has been out of the $2.5 billion or so. You know, it's only 52 million from that of Tezani Madueke. So for me, up till now, the attention has not been focused on prevention. And so long as we are not attacking prevention, there is no way we'll continue to spend money on recoveries.
So is it possible that we could still have, after the 2015 Alison, the Abacha loot, the Alison Madueke linked loot, we still could have had people loot as this much in the last 8 years or so?
Certainly, if they had gone for prevention, nothing much of this loot that would have gone out of this country. Because prevention is the key. There is no looting in this country which has not gone through the banking system. Nothing, no loot in this country that has not gone through the banking system.
Under the radar.
Of course, so even the banks are culpable. But the government refused to focus its attention to the banking system. Is there any looting that has not gone through the banking system? Whether it is, local bank or foreign bank, there is none. So why are they not, looking on that side? They first of all look at that side of banking system. How did the money leak out? How did it go out of this country? How? By flying, carrying the dollars in briefcase and going out of the country with it? If that's the case, how did the dollar come in? How did the dollar go out? So, if we are really, really serious in this country and we want to fight, corruption, we should go for prevention. And then those that are already, there are so many in this country. They are in this country. EFCC, have their own cases. They have brought their cases and put them, under some kind of, wardrobe or something like that. They are not, for me, while America, yes, we commend them. But what are we doing with those within the country? How much have we covered? How much of them have been tried? How much of them have been sentenced? How many of them?
A question I asked Dr. Wahab Shitu is the modality, the template where the United States is telling us how the funds will be disbursed and utilized. So in this sense, if you are asking the World Bank to help us to spend the money, to tell us how to spend the money, I'm very sure that part of the money will be used as fees, consultancy fees, and all whatnot, don't you think?
My brother, they don't even know that this money is a federation money. It is not federal government money. So first of all, it will go to federation account.
That's how it should go.
That's how it should be, because NNPC is a federation entity. This money belongs to local government, to state government, and to federal government. So for World Bank, or for United States of America to say it should go through the World Bank and then, come to spend on rural electrification, is it the most important? Today we are crying of insecurity in this country, much more than not having electricity in our rural areas. Why will the money go through the bank and then go to rural electricity? There is something, as suspicious. Even United States of America is suspicious of the federal government of Nigeria, how we manage our resources. In the first place, it is ours. It's been recovered. So why should it go through the World Bank? To do what? To pay some consultants? Or to do what?
The 100% of that money definitely will not go into the project.
Certainly,
because there are not only computers are working in the World Bank or trees or chairs. There are people who are working. Their fees are going to be, salaries are going to be paid, and probably consultancy fees, like you mentioned.
Yes, like I said, so long as they fail to understand this is federation money, it should not, even if it goes through the World Bank, it should go directly to the federation account.
This is not the first time, Senator, if you remember, that when monies are repatriated to Nigeria, those countries tell Nigeria how to use the money. This is not the first time it's happening. And the question is that, are we being looked down upon, or what? Is it a trust issue? Where the United States is returning our own money and telling us, oh, this is how you're going to spend the money.
You see, that is the way they see Nigerians, that's the way they see Nigerian government. We do not trust you. We do not, even though it's your money, we should help you how to manage it. That is rubbish for me. You can't collect my money. Yes, we appreciate they have collected the money to repatriate it, and you said that it has to go at certain processes. Certain ways of doing it. If you don't trust this government, tell this government that we do not trust you. We don't trust Nigerians. But for you to go through the back door and say, well, we have to repatriate this money, we do not trust the way you will spend the money, we have to manage the money the way it should be managed, for me is not right. It's not fair to Nigeria. It's not even a credible assessment of the government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I think the government should resist that. You should not continue to dictate how we will spend our own money. You have recovered this, thank you. If you say you have spent some money to recover, then tell us how much you have spent. Then you deduct it from the money, and the balance you repatriate to federation account, so that it will be beneficial to federal government, state government, and the local government.
Senator, today we saw INEC chairman and his team going for the budget defense, just like we've been saying. All of our ministries and parastatals and MDAs also doing that. Yesterday we saw the Minister of Finance defending the 2025 budget and the performance of the 2024 budget. But I'd like everyone to listen to what the INEC chairman said. He's worried about how much it takes and the effort in conducting elections in Nigeria. And one of those things he said is that they need more money because there are problems with infrastructure of INEC across the country. Take a listen to the INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu.
When we talk about the by-elections and end of tenure elections to be prepared for this year, that will also include the conduct of party primaries by political parties. If a political party is conducting direct primaries starting at ward level, we have to deploy our officials to each one of the 8,809 wards. But again, this is part of the problem and is adding to the cost. When you deploy staff, you pay their DTA. And sometimes when they are deployed to a particular state, the party will now write to say, we are sorry, we are postponing it until next week. It means we have to demobilize the staff and remobilize them. And the budget doesn't provide for demobilization and remobilization endlessly. So there are so many issues to consider. 2025 is a critical year in our preparations for the 2027 general elections. So this amount in the envelope that we are given is inadequate for those activities.
You heard the INEC chairman there. So, Senator, what do you make of his submission?
Well, you see, first of all, INEC is soft on how it manages the political parties. That is, why do I say so? If he's talking about, primaries, again, the parties, will postpone the primaries, they are not managing the primaries for the political parties. They are allowing the political parties to manage the primaries, for INEC. So the more you look at these things, certainly more money will be required. No doubt about it. However, like I have said in the past, and I will continue to say that, INEC must bear its own full responsibility of managing the political party under the act that it has been formed. I believe that INEC has so much powers to do and insist the political party must do what is right and what is fair to everybody. So long as INEC is lackadaisical on this issue, is not going to have, things right.
126 billion or so is what INEC is asking for 2025 operation. It's not a major election year. You think that is too expensive, or is it too much?
With full management, that amount is too much because it is not an election year. It is too much. How many? Because he spoke about the primaries, of political parties. He talked about direct primaries and what have you. All these things, yes, is related to security, is related to other issues. For me, 125 billion on off election year, I think that amount, is too much. I don't know much about it. I have no figures before me how they arrive at the 125 billion. But by looking at what has happened in the past, I don't think that amount is not going to be too much to be spent within this particular time. Although we know costs have changed, no doubt about it. Cost of fueling, cost of this, cost of that, new minimum wage and the rest. But I think, if we look at it critically, if they stamp their feet on managing the political parties, they do not need this much of money.
I think what INEC is driving at here, because listening and following up with what the presentation of the INEC chairman, in 2024, INEC presented 80 billion, but there were only 40 billion approved to them. They complained and they were promised that they will get more, but they couldn't get more. INEC is saying they want to start preparation for 2027. Maybe what INEC was doing there was to say, let's go for 120. Since we asked for 80 billion, you give us 40 billion. Yeah. Let's ask for a higher figure. Let's see whether we come back. Because INEC is talking about ITF, pensions, gratuities, infrastructure dilapidation across the country, and the preparation for 2027 election. And I'm worried. How are you preparing for a 2027 election in 2025? 2 years before the election.
Exactly. So that's what I said. They are playing on the psychology of the government. They even talked about envelope. And I have always been questioning this issue of envelope. How on earth would you budget before you plan? What is the requirement of INEC that they are only be given an envelope? I have problem with this system of budgeting before planning. So long as you budget before you plan, then you'll have abuse of resources here and there. And maybe they are saying that maybe we need 50 billion. So let us put our request for 125 billion. Maybe we'll get maybe 70 billion. So they are also playing on the psychology, knowing exactly how things are being done in this country in terms of budget presentation and budget manipulation.
So INEC says today, part of the statement that the INEC chairman is made there, he says that conducting election is exorbitant and cumbersome. Do you think there are better ways for us to do this?
That is why I said there are better ways if they manage the political parties. INEC is not managing
other political parties the problem.
Well, the political parties, if they don't manage them well...
Or you, the politicians, you are the problem.
No. You see, if the party is really, really serious and is standing on its feet and trying to do what is right, I'm telling you, INEC will spend less money because the INEC is not monitoring the political parties, because INEC should also monitor the politicians. They have, because the names of the politicians, are sent to INEC. Whatever name is sent to them, they don't even, care, so long it's come from political party, whether whether the primaries was done credibly or not, so long as a political party has presented a candidate, then it's open to a lot of litigation. So that is why I say, INEC must stand on its feet and make sure the primaries, what the political parties are presenting, to INEC, are subject to less litigation.
Let me take you to what is happening in the northern region of the country. Are you worried about the recent attacks, the waves of attack? A lot is being done by the military, by the way. We saw what the president said in respect of the troops and the members of the military that were killed by these terrorists, and we saw what is happening in Katsina, in Zamfara, in parts of Borno State, and we're seeing a rise in 10 days now. We're seeing the kind of activities that perhaps we've not seen in a while in the northern region of the country. Why do you think that early in the year, first 10 days of the new year, we're seeing this kind of activities?
Well, first of all, my sympathy goes to the families of the people who lost, their loved ones. However, like I've always said, when you have ill-equipped security, ill-financed outfits of security, no much intelligence, at the same time ill-motivated, everything is poorly done. In the sense that I sympathize with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. You can provide all the monies you can provide, so long as these people are not trained for that particular purpose, And then, even the funding. The other day I was listening to the Chief of Defense Staff, where he said that, even the purchase of the kinetics, is being frustrated outside this country. So, what are we trying to do in this sense? So the most important thing is, first of all, redress the issue of motivation. Redress the issue of, financing the outfits. Redress the issue of getting them, functional equipment to work with. And then, using the locals, because nothing is happening without the locals knowing. So if the locals do not have trust and confidence in our armed forces, they will not go anywhere. And this is the beginning of the year. Last year, at least for some few months, 6 months, it has been a little bit, subsided, especially in the northeast. Yesterday or the day before yesterday, I learned that the ISWAP and the Boko Haram wants to take over, the government house of Chad. Even Chad, that drove these people back to Nigeria, are having this issue much more of Nigeria. So I think, we should look at it from the point of view of, increasing the military, increasing their number, better training for them, better motivation, better intelligence, and also the involvement of the locals.
If you look at, of course, the Senate Committee on the Army was commiserating and mourning the soldiers, commiserating with the military and the nation on the killing of some soldiers in Damboa local government of Borno State, which happened on the 4th of January. And there was a statement by Senator Abdulaziz Musa Yaradua, who is the chair of the Senate Committee on the Army. And you look at what is going on in those parts of the country, some of the attacks in some of the communities in Damboa, in Borno State. In fact, the military is saying about, in the last few days, about 115 or so of these terrorists have been killed, and a lot of them more have been arrested. And today we saw the military on the ground on the Operation Flush Out Lakurawa, and they are on their case in chasing them and flushing them out. As the activities are growing, we see also the activities of these elements, in and around the country. But the question is that, do you think that if we have had a better coordinated approach, the air attack or the air approach by the Nigerian Air Force and the ground support by the Nigerian Army, do you think we probably would have gotten better result? Or do you suppose that maybe there is not much of a synergy within the military?
Well, certainly, better coordination will give better results. Is it 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago when they bombed, and killed innocent souls, looking for Lakurawas? So there was no communication, as to find out, even from intelligence point of view, who are these people? Where are they? So they just go there, bomb and then come back. Where are the combatants on the ground? Where are they? Where are the combatants? No, that is we are talking about, motivation. We are talking about, equipment, availability of those, whether, the minimum things we have. Why don't we hear about these things in Niger? Why don't we hear about these things much in Chad, in Cameroon, in Mali? Why are we not hearing about these things? Why is it only Nigeria? What is it? What is it that lack of coordination, lack of intelligence?
I was happy, Senator, when the Minister of Interior on this program talked about the monitoring of our borders, because that's a major problem. When these guys come in and out of our borders, the very much vast unmanned borders in Nigeria, several kilometers of them that we cannot control, the coming in and out of these terror groups and interests. And the question is, when I heard that we're going to have a better monitoring and we can in Abuja see all of this, I was happy. And also was a bit excited when I saw that there was an increase in the budget of defense, way more than we have ever seen in the history of this country. It gave me joy. And I'm hoping that this year, the monies will be properly utilized. Because that's very important. And the border control will be better done digitally so that we can move when some of these elements move in and out. But what are your expectations based on some of these indices?
My expectation, if this thing we want these things to happen, is first of all, what is the composition of the budget? Is the budget going for increase in employment, of the armed forces, increase in training, increase in intelligence, increase in kinetics, and what have you? Until if the money is just for humanitarian aspects. When I say humanitarian, spend the money anyhow without proper determination for the purpose for which these monies are meant for, then certainly my expectation will not be met.
And I'm hoping that those places that have been liberated will not again, because Dambuwa and the rest, there's been a lot of quiet in terms of terror attacks. And we're seeing some of these attacks yet again. We thought that maybe for a longer and a more permanent reasons, some of these elements have been silenced. But now we're hearing them again.
Well, my take on this, my thinking is that, there's movement of troops from one section of the country to another section. So now these people, monitor too. They realize that troops are now moved from the northeast probably to northwest, and therefore there is now laxity in terms of number of people. So as long as we do not have much number of armed forces, then we will continue to be running around with ISWAP and Boko Haram. They are well connected, well coordinated, well funded. Because the chief of defense staff said, he said so much about this thing, in the last interview that he had with Al Jazeera. So I think we have to look at, increase in volume of the number of our troops.
Yeah.
How many of them do we have? And then, we train them. We train them in that aspect that we have, not concentrating, okay, we are training our armed forces, for war. This insurgency is different from war. So I think, these are the areas that I think we should look into, in the coming months.
Senator Abubakar Yusuf, a former federal lawmaker, represented Taraba State in the Senate, and he wanted to be Taraba governor, but of course that didn't happen. Maybe it will happen in the nearest future. But thank you so much, Senator, for joining us.
You always say this. I'm an old man now.
You never get, if your mind is still sound and your head is still working properly, I mean, no one can.
Maybe I will maybe allow the younger ones to also battle it out for us to sit down and watch.
I always like to remind you, so that you don't give up.
So when the time comes, I will let you know whether I'll throw in the towel or
thank God that the towel is still in your pocket, so you know where to throw it. Yes. But thank you so much. It's always a pleasure having you. Thank you so much, Senator. I appreciate it.